Excuse me, internet? You're telling me that an energy healer who offers therapy for Wi-Fi exposure thinks I'm not skilled enough to get paid to make the content that he requested from me? There's only one game that I've shifted from endorsing to boycotting on this channel. This event occurred 4 years ago, and I haven't publicly explained why. Join me while I reminisce on Virtual Popstar and my falling out with this game. If you don't remember this game, don't worry. The videos I made on Virtual Popstar have cumulatively driven less than 10,000 views, making up under 1% of the views I've had on this channel. There are 37 videos on this channel that have individually received more views than the 7 Virtual Popstar videos combined. When I mention these 7 videos, I will include snippets. So this isn't a pop quiz. You don't have to go watch them. I'll include everything you need to understand everything here. So what is Virtual Popstar? Virtual Popstar is a browser-based doll dress-up game. The gameplay itself includes campaigning to drive fans for the avatar's pop music career. What that functionally looks like is completing tasks by exchanging on-site currency to transport the avatar to different locations to perform concerts. Another dimension of gameplay is users competing in so-called fashion contests, where the users anonymously compete with one another to customize their avatar to fit a prescribed theme. Dress up is at the forefront of the game experience. All doll assets like clothing, skin, hair, accessories are contributed by the usership on a volunteer cadence. These users are not guaranteed copies of their designs to use in-game. For the rest of this video, I'm going to refer to all of these designs, skins, outfits, hair, as clothing, for simplicity's sake. Users can buy clothing at the site-ran shops or trade items with one another. Limited edition clothing sets are released every month for purchase. There is a paid currency in addition to the earned currency. Users can subscribe to Virtual Popstar game memberships for gameplay advantages and exclusive clothing sets. It's notable here that how rare an item is has significant gameplay impact. The game will give out rare items to only users who are members, and once it's been given out, it won't be given out again. So it's possible that a designer will submit a design that is only ever printed for 14 users, and then it's never reprinted. And then on a game where customizing your avatar is a competitive sport, having those rare items is a gameplay advantage. So not only will a designer not get the clothing if they're not subscribed and paying the clothing they designed, but having those clothing items would be a gameplay advantage. When you get involved with Virtual Popstar, it doesn't take long to find mentions of a game called Go Supermodel. I had never heard of Go Supermodel before frequenting Virtual Popstar. The important part for this video is that Virtual Popstar is more or less a mimic or specter of Go Supermodel. It treads on the path forged by Go Supermodel. Go Supermodel, or GSM, ran from 2006 to 2016. During this time, more than 30 million profiles were registered. When you use the acronym GSM, by the way, to refer to Go Supermodel, the G is lowercase, the S is uppercase, and the M is lowercase. The chances are, if you're a subscriber, you're thinking to yourself, I played Neopets / Gaia Online / Maripet / Webkins during this time. How could a 30 million user browser-based game escape my notice? These users were mostly in Northern Europe. The game was developed by a Danish company and ran in Norwegian, Swedish, English, Finnish, German, and Dutch. The target audience were girls aged 10 to 15. Nothing is quite a testament to the pop culture standing of a figure as its Urban Dictionary description. On May 9th, 2018, user Immortal Beloved Zero wrote a scathing definition of Go Supermodel that included these zingers. A website made years back, originally made for young adult girls as a parody website of the modeling industry. However, it has been invaded by 12-year-olds who think drawing eyeliner all over their face makes them interesting. The users of the website are now typically 13-year-olds who either affiliate themselves with Abercrombie & Hollister by bleaching their hair chicken yellow and posting slutty pictures of themselves with their ass sticking out. Move over all other literature. This is in the running for the best nonfiction text I've read in 2020. I highly recommend moving this to the top of your summer reading list, superseding Circe and The Rise of the Military Cop. When this game closed in 2016, it had forged a niche for the gamification of dress-up doll games. Virtual Popstar, owned by a Dutch man named Kai, caters to that audience. Go Supermodel deserves its own dedicated video, and I'd love to cover that. If you have information or memories or screenshots related to Go Supermodel, reach out and let's set up an interview. I want to do a little virtual archaeology on Go Supermodel. But in the meantime, let's get back to Virtual Popstar. As mentioned, a Dutch man named Kai owns Virtual Popstar. Besides Kai, there is another admin named Shadow Jess. Unlike Kai, Jess is from England. This is the leadership team on Virtual Popstar. All other contributors, like aforementioned designers, are volunteers. This is important later. I came across Virtual Popstar in 2015 through Shadow Jess. We crossed paths on Tumblr, and I was intrigued by the pixel dolls. I had just graduated from college in 2015 with a degree in media communications and completed an internship at the film studio where I now work in social video. At the time, I was pretty serious about immersing myself in YouTube. I knew I wanted to cover browser-based games, and Virtual Popstar was a welcome diversion from my usual niche of pet games. I created my first Virtual Popstar video in May of 2015, but the specific published date is obscured by the fact that I migrated all of my videos to a new channel later in 2015. This Pet Summer Julie channel is the channel I moved that video to, and I subsequently closed the previous channel that I had started in 2011. I published 3 Virtual Popstar videos in total in 2015. In 2016, I made 3 more videos before deciding that the interest wasn't there, the audience was too small, and the game development was too stagnant for me to justify continuing making videos. There were too many other games I was interested in and engaged with that felt more pressing to me for me to stay in this space. But that's not exciting. That's not something to make a video about. That's because the story doesn't end here. On March 15th, 2016, I released the final video that I had planned to make, called Virtual Popstar Changes Players Want. In this video, I offered 3 suggestions for ways the game could be improved. All 3 were quality of life updates like wishlists, item catalog, and form pinging. Interactive wishlists. Right now, users have 2 main ways of sharing lists of items they're seeking: blog posts and threads. Users develop lists of images, and any type of linking has to be manually added. A wishlist tab could be added to the user profile where users can enter items they want by ID number. If a visitor owns that item, they can gift it to the wishlist owner by pressing a button or offer a trade. An item catalog archives all active items. Shadow Jess does a pro job of manually indexing the VP Diamond item list. Unfortunately, the images don't link to their item pages, which list who owns these items. It would just be too tedious of a task. This catalog would ideally update as soon as a new item is released. Form pinging. It's pretty intuitive at this point to tag people in forum posts. Pinging users should be a thing. I mean, this is a social game, right? For greater context, I released multiple videos recommending site design and feature tweaks in 2016. In August of 2015, I had started my first after-college full-time job. For the first month I was at the job, the account I was assigned to wasn't yet handled by my company. I didn't have any work assignments for that month. That month set the tone for my daily existence for the next 3 years and 11 months. So critiquing these online games was my escapism. I had a fantasy of becoming a user experience designer. These videos let me be bigger than how small I felt in a city of monoliths. In the video Making Online Friends Matter, I examined the concept of friends on sim games and optimizing the feature. The only point of having this friend list is easy access to those friends. Interesting tidbit. Flight Rising has activity feed capabilities that could easily port into a friend feed. Every user's page has their recent clan activity that summarizes little update snippets. This feature is already halfway to being a full friend feed. It just needs some tweaking and reformatting. In Lanigan Game Interface Thoughts, I mused about Lanigan's navigational panels. What kind of activities does Liden facilitate and for what purposes? Liden is a lion simulator with rich art of customized lions. These customized lions can breed with user direction. Users have the option to participate in a game economy and other social activities. Any design of Liden must account for these things. I wasn't necessarily trying to enact change. I was throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. Mostly, the idea was to hear feedback from other users to help me refine my ability to identify design opportunities. What I'm saying is that when I made the video, I thought I was largely screaming into the ether. I had a small dedicated group of viewers, and I thought that if I was lucky, some of them would watch and acknowledge the video. If I struck a chord, maybe viewers would like me more. I did not anticipate what followed. On April 27th, 2016, Kai, the owner of Virtual Popstar, watched at least some of my videos and implemented one of the features from my recommendations. One of my game recommendations was implemented, the Wishlist feature. To access the wishlist, navigate to the clothing page and select Wishlist from the right-hand navigation table. To add any item to your wishlist, hover over that item and select Add to Wishlist. To remove the item, go back to the wishlist page and select Delete. You can view other users' wishlists by going to their user page and selecting View Wishlist. I was over the moon. Before this, my only previous acknowledgement from a developer was that the Clanheart development team had shared one of my videos on their Tumblr. The result was the video driving 165 views on launch day. Following that occasion, I wrote in my diary, "My channel is absolutely blowing up." So this was sort of a big deal. Not only had my feature been implemented nearly exactly as I had proposed it, but one of my videos was embedded on the Virtual Popstar homepage. While it didn't drive anything as notable as 165 views in a day, it did drive traffic to my channel. When the video was added to the homepage, Kai also added me to a volunteer group on the site called the YouTube team. For context, YouTube team is a user-led volunteer group that has their own membership criteria, and they're allowed to audition and grant users at their own will. There are other groups on the website like the blogging team or the events team, and they run their own small groups that have activities that provide more or less content for the site. I hadn't pursued this position. Additionally, the team hadn't decided to grant me membership. This was a unilateral decision made by Kai without consulting either myself or the YouTube team. I can't factually claim much about this decision because I don't have records. I requested a current member of the YouTube teams to search the form from this time, but they reported that the only thread left from 2016 is the rules and guidelines we made the users at the time for the team. That being declared, the following is my recollection of that time period. Kai addressed the YouTube team and instructed them to make videos similar to the videos I had produced, and if they could not, they would be removed from the team. I don't have any record of this. It's my memory alone. We'll address this recalled expectation again later in the video. Following Kai's public acknowledgement of my videos, he requested I email him. He wanted me to email him regarding me creating tutorial videos explaining the basics of the game. According to Kai, there was going to be a layout update to the game, and my videos would accompany this layout update. What followed was an email exchange that spanned 2 days, starting May 22nd, ending May 24th. By the end of this exchange, I had made the decision to not only discontinue making Virtual Popstar videos, but to also abandon my Virtual Popstar account and the game indefinitely. I'm going to summarize this exchange and read excerpts. The voice of Kai in this video is not Kai. The part of Kai is read by Kevin Lanigan. Changes to the exact phrasing have been made for the sake of clarity. English is Kai's second language, but I studied abroad in the Netherlands, and most Dutch people I've met speak great English. Of course, I've only had the opportunity to meet Dutch people who speak English, but anyways, here's what was exchanged. For the sake of brevity, we don't read everything that's in the body of the email. However, it is all presented, so if you'd like to pause it and read all of the content, be my guest. I did do my best to maintain the integrity of the conversation, so that's not necessary. Thank you for noticing and supporting my YouTube channel. It's funny that you started watching my videos after I decided to stop making Virtual Popstar videos. I usually don't do specifically dictated content. How much are you willing to pay for this video?
I won't pay you anything, but I will use and promote the video long term. The video you, of course, can upload to your own channel, so you will benefit from it too.
I'll see if I have any time free in the next 3 weeks for this. I stopped making Virtual Popstar videos because they were making so little money. Let's put it this way. I made and released a Neopets video yesterday, and it made more money than I've made with any Virtual Popstar video in only one day. If the compensation is my video going on the homepage, I would benefit more putting my time into other games. Would you be willing to pay at least in game credits? 7,500 credits are worth about $150 in USD. So what I'm trying to negotiate here is getting paid $150 in the in-game currency.
I did not know you did it for the money. If I compensate you in credits, it will only be for this specific video since I asked for you to make it. Nonetheless, I think you should do more videos for VP. Virtual Popstar is small at the moment, but we are growing fast, and when VP app arrives after the summer, VP will blow up. Anyway, your videos will get a lot more views in the future, I'm sure.
I make videos for the joy. But that being said, one way I get joy is from the success of a video. When videos have low completion rates and other performance indicators, I cut them out. That's why I chose to discontinue my Virtual Popstar videos. They had low completion rates, audience interaction, and low monetary return. $2 to date. Getting direct instruction to make a video to be released at a specific date is work. I haven't done free editorial work since I was an intern. Thank you for considering a partnership with me for this video. I will happily create, publish, and promote it for 7,500 credits. You said it will go live in 3 weeks? Any specific date in mind?
No, the programmer is working on it, but on some other updates for VP too, and we want to release it at once. So I hope June 10th or 17th we will do the update with the layout changes. 7,500 credits is agreed. For a video I can use to email to all new registered players one day after registering and doing the tutorial. The idea is, yes, to explain the basics, again but fast, of VP shortly again, and then learn them a little bit more about VP, like joining a label, fashion contests, and other things you find suited or important. Well, I do not want to tell you what to do. I am sure you will do fine. If you have questions, and you are not sure about what to put in, just ask me. Kai.
Thank you for reminding me that you're working with a programmer. Are they paid in the joy of their craft? On second thought, my mentors are advising I not do skilled labor for in-game currency. I agree with them. I made the decision to not make Virtual Popstar videos anymore, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm sorry to say that I'm breaking our deal. I will not work for free. If you change your mind about compensation, let me know. I would be interested in following the Dutch or German freelance standards for video production. Aren't unpaid internships illegal there? I forget whether you're in the Netherlands or Germany. Good luck with the new layout and app.
I don't understand your question. Are they paid in the joy of their craft? This man has his own company that has built VP for me. No problem. I just gave you a big chance to make a video that I will promote for free for a long term to thousands of new users. If you do not want the chance, I will ask someone else. Good luck, Julie. Kai.
Do you pay the developer with money?
Of course this company isn't making VP for free. That would be great. But all the other 100 plus people working for VP, designers, YouTube members, news team members, mods, are volunteers. And as I said, I don't mind. If you cannot see the opportunity here, it really is your loss. Wingy face. Kai.
Thank you for considering me for this project. Good luck with the game. This exchange was an unsuccessful negotiation in terms of getting paid for my work, but it was also demoralizing and made clear that Kai did not see my work as valuable. My work was valuable enough to pin to the homepage and pursue additional pieces, but not valuable enough to pay for? The turning point in the conversation was the mention of the programmer. I had already heard the claim that Kai had a contract with a programmer ensuring development on the game. In the January 2016 video, Virtual Popstar 2016 Goals, I visualized this claim accordingly. Kai developed a contract with a programmer. This programmer will develop monthly updates, implementing features like item stacking and features recommended from the community. I didn't know the status of programming staff before. Where's all that money users pour into the site going? Okay, anyways. His mention of the programmer and subsequent comment of how, of course, this company isn't making Virtual Popstar for free, introduced the supposition that a programmer's specialization is worth more than a video creator's, designer's, or a moderator's. Without the unpaid labor of the creators, the designers, and the moderators, Virtual Popstar would not have content in order to entertain users. I don't believe that artists should have to starve, and I do believe that creatives deserve compensation for their work, and that if these workers were doing their jobs in an office setting, it would be illegal to get this work from them and not pay for it. I don't think that what's going on here is very ethical. I believe that people deserve compensation, and I also believe that when you are sourcing your work from underage persons, that they don't have the skill, they don't have the aptitude to negotiate or argue for necessary or responsible compensation. They don't know how, they don't see themselves as having any leverage, and it is the responsibility of the person commissioning the work to make sure that the compensation is equal to the amount of work being put in, and I don't recognize that happening at Virtual Popstar. If you have experience with that happening, please comment it, but from my experience, from everything that I've seen, it appears as though inexperienced, skilled craftspeople, I'm talking, artists, creators, are getting taken advantage of. And I do believe that is very unethical. I also believe that moderation, when done well, is a very important skill. People get hired as moderators, okay? Like that's an actual job title in 2020, and I don't think it should be taken advantage of. I think that this is something worth defending and arguing about, and I would love to hear your experiences if you have any in this space of being taken advantage of by creators and site creators. If you allow me to take the opportunity to explore the recollection I had before that I can't hedge with a record, I would like to talk about what it would mean if Kai had addressed the YouTube team and instructed them to make videos similar to the videos I had produced. YouTube, the platform, launched in 2005. I launched my first channel using a handheld camera and Windows Movie Maker in 2006. I was 14. In 2009, I took my first class on editing videos and creating video content in high school. I was 17. In 2011, I launched my next YouTube channel and released over 46 videos before closing that channel in November of 2015. Between 2011 and 2015, I declared and received a degree in media communications with an emphasis in journalism. This meant taking digital media production classes. In spring of 2015, I had an internship at a film studio in their digital media arm and launched my current channel. By the time Kai had come to me and requested I do unpaid work, I had been producing YouTube videos, albeit many were amateur and unpolished, but all the same, I had been producing them for nearly 10 years. While I was developing those skills, Virtual Popstar launched in Dutch in 2012. I poured through the forums the other night and kept track of users' declared ages over the years, 2013 to current, to see what the age group of the users looked like at the time. This sample size is constricted by a few things. I sourced these ages from the introductions forum on English Virtual Popstar and did not record every age. I randomly selected sections of time and recorded the self-reported ages on threads. Many of the users declare Go Supermodel research as the method for which they found Virtual Popstar, so we can assume there is an audience joining Virtual Popstar that came from the Go Supermodel audience. I recorded 3 ages from 2013, averaging to 13 years old. In 2014, 7 users averaged 14 years old. 2015, 15 users averaged 16 years old. 2016, 10 users averaged 16.7 years old. In 2017, 23 users averaged 17 years old. In 2018, 13 users averaged 17 years old. In 2019, 13 users averaged 18 years old. And in 2020, 13 users averaged 20 years old. Taking this sample information, we can estimate the average user led to Virtual Popstar by Go Supermodel and the core audience on Virtual Popstar to have been born in the year 2000. If we compare that to my experience and specialization in video editing as a hobby and then side hustle, that means Kai was requesting the YouTube team, which, if it reflected the ages of the larger site audience, were 15-year-olds, to be able to make content at the standard of a 24-year-old with a degree in the field. Kai had made the claim that he had just given me,
I just gave you a big chance to make a video that I will promote for free for a long term to thousands of new users. If you do not want the chance, I will ask someone else.
The opportunity was supposed to be the enticing part of Kai's offer. All new users would be served my videos. I can't count how many users that would be. I can't find that information on the website, or how many would enjoy the content, or if it would benefit Kai or myself more. I can, however, compare Virtual Popstar's search traffic to other websites. Since January 1st, 2016, Go Supermodel has consistently outranked Virtual Popstar in search traffic. As a reminder, Go Supermodel is a game that closed in 2016. Let's add in Flight Rising. On a randomly selected Flight Rising search day, it drives 22 searches for Virtual Popstar's 2 searches. How is this relevant? When you search Virtual Popstar, one of my videos returns in the search engine's results page. I like to think that passionate users would be interested in looking at content obviously related to the game. But here we are with low viewership on all of my Virtual Popstar videos. As I mentioned at the top of the videos I made on Virtual Popstar have cumulatively driven less than 10,000 views, making up under 1% of the views I've had on this channel. There are 37 videos on this channel that have individually received more views than the 7 Virtual Popstar videos combined. The devaluation of my specialized skills and unfounded claim that this was a great opportunity for me left a very bad taste in my mouth. I didn't know how to handle the way I felt after this interaction. Here's an excerpt from my diary on May 30th, 2016. I don't ever want to talk to that guy again. I'm officially done making Virtual Popstar videos. My account is going to remain idle. There are plenty of users and developers who appreciate my presence on other games. Those are the ones I'm focusing on. My account has largely remained idle. I log on from time to time out of nostalgia and intrigue, but I don't interact with the features, and before making this video, I hadn't interacted on the forums since my falling out with Kai. Speaking of which, who even is Kai? I did 2 seconds worth of digging and found this professional website for him. It's definitely him. It cites his ownership of Virtual Popstar. Apparently, he's a bioresonance therapy medical practitioner. I looked up what that meant, and Wikipedia classifies it as a branch of alternative medicine based on a pseudoscientific belief that healers can channel healing energy into a patient and affect positive results. I'm honestly offended that no one ever tipped me off to this, because this is the most bananas, bonkers, buried the lead snippet that I've ever digged up. This is Google translated from Dutch into English, but a therapy Kai offers is something translated as spider inversion. It could also be spin inversion. What is a spin inversion? A spin inversion occurs when you stay in an unnatural electromagnetic field for too long or too often, as emitted by Wi-Fi and mobile phones. A spin inversion not only disrupts your immune system, sleep, and energy levels, it makes you less sensitive and sometimes even resistant to all types of therapies. Excuse me, Internet, you're telling me that an energy healer who offers therapy for Wi-Fi exposure thinks I'm not skilled enough to get paid to make the content that he requested from me? If I decided to never make another Virtual Popstar video, and I'm making this video, what happened? I was pulled out of my retirement from browser-based doll dress-up games by a manager at Everskies. Everskies is a browser-based doll dress-up game that is launching in July. Like Virtual Popstar, it has inspiration from Go Supermodel. It would be a direct competitor to Virtual Popstar. Before you spill your teen excitement, no, they did not request a dis-expose on Virtual Popstar. They're actually cool with one another, even though they occupy the same space. Here's what happened. An Everskies game manager reached out to me and asked me to take a look at their site. After clicking around and chatting, someone mentioned to me that they didn't know why I stopped making videos about Virtual Popstar, and I realized I had been keeping a secret for a very long time. It's likely that a lot of you are going to think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill with the exchange. In preparation for that, I tried to provide rationale for how I would come to feel disrespected. Not only was it laughable that I would be paid for making video content at his request, but the value of my game contributions, of which the designs were coherent enough to be immediately implemented nearly exactly as they were designed, were unrecognized and belittled. I didn't want to keep the story quiet anymore. If I had this sort of interaction while advocating for myself with Kai, I'm positive there are other stories out there that we would all benefit from hearing. Plus, I'm looking forward to Everskies' launch, and by making this video, I give context to another Go Supermodel spin-off and make making another video in the genre easier. The launch for Everskies has been pushed to July, and before I give any sort of recommendation or super excited position, I would just like to present to the Everskies team that you're experiencing a lot of the same challenges that resulted in me making this video, in that you need to leverage user submissions of content in a responsible way that gives them the acknowledgement that they deserve for creating content, while at the same time supporting them and letting them express themselves. Games like Flight Rising have users submit content in form of skins, but it's so limited in such a way that it's not a major part of the game. I feel like there's some kind of middle ground between Flight Rising and Virtual Popstar where creators are acknowledged and possibly compensated in-game without being taken advantage of. And that is my big concern to present to Everskies before I even address the game itself. Ultimately, I feel like I do have a debt to pay as far as giving transparency about my interactions with developers. There was a reason I stopped playing and mentioning Virtual Popstar, and that decision was noticed. My subscribers deserve to know what's up. This video featured voice acting by Kevin Lanigan. You can follow along with his projects or ask him to do things for you on the socials at TV's Kevin Lanigan. And might I recommend Advanced Community Studies, his podcast about the TV show Community. It used to be a podcast about Sonic the Hedgehog, and before that was about the movie musical Cats. One day it will be about Lost. Now it's about Community. And you can listen anywhere podcasts are sold for free. That's Advanced Community Studies by TV's Kevin Lanigan. I'd like to thank Kevin for his very professional and amazing voice acting on this video. I appreciate it very much, Kevin. Thank you.